All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome on back to the Cinema Lords podcast. As you guys can see, I'm in here by myself tonight. Solo show. First one in a while. Unfortunately, couldn't schedule a time with Seth and Luke to do this. And this episode kind of had to go out today. I'm recording on Friday afternoon. Hopefully, this is going to be up later tonight. If not, it'll be up first thing tomorrow morning. But this is going to be our Last of Us Season 2, Episode 1 recap. This is a show that I'm very, very passionate about. So it's going to be getting the Game of Thrones treatment. We're going to be here every single week, breaking down the episode in depth, talking about everything we liked, didn't like, all of that stuff. Now, this episode is being recorded on Friday. This is not the plan going forward. The plan is to be recording on Tuesday. The episode drops on Wednesday. That way, everybody's got more time to check out the episode ahead of Sunday's new one. Unfortunately, we just couldn't make that scheduling work. But as I said, I'm very, very passionate about this show. This franchise, the whole thing. I think that the first season was truly a masterpiece. And I think the two games, both Last of Us and Last of Us 2, are both phenomenal. They are two of my top 5 video games ever made. I've played them both through countless times. So this show is something I'm very excited about, very passionate about, and looking forward to discuss. So tonight, like I said, it'll be just me tonight. But we'll be breaking down this first episode. Going to be going through kind of scene by scene, talking about the things I like, things I don't like. Easter eggs, definitely going to be a lot of Easter egg talk. And I would like to say that this is going to be spoiler free in the sense that I'm not going to be talking about things that I know from the game are going to be coming down the road. That'll all be kept under wraps. If you haven't watched the episode though, then it will include spoilers because we're going to be going through the show, like I said, basically scene by scene. So if you haven't watched it yet, come back and watch this after you have. So let's start off with the first episode of the season, Future Days. We open up before we really get into our opening scene. We kind of start with the last scene from season 1. And I think that really made sense for the viewer because that lie that is told at the end of season 1 that we open up this episode with is the exact reason for why there is so much tension between Joel and Ellie going into this season. That lie is going to really eat up Ellie over the next 5 years, from the end of season 1 to where we're starting in season 2 here. That lie is going to fester, stay on her for 5 years. And eventually she's going to start to have her doubts, know that Joel is lying, and it's going to create a real tension in their relationship. So I did think that this was a good place to start off before we kind of get into our real first scene, which is back at the Firefly camp. A group of 5 people. One of them is pretty clear at this point. I'm not a fan of the casting at all. I don't think it works. I hope that I'm wrong. I do hope that I'm wrong and that I can come back later and say, hey, I was completely wrong. I fucked up, and it's a great casting. Great job by them. I should have never doubted them. I will say, though, from this first scene, it didn't do anything to get towards that. It was exactly what I expected. I didn't feel intimidated by her at all. I felt like the scene was very forced, trying to make her look tough, even though she looks like the least tough girl I've ever seen in my life. So I didn't really care for that. Liked seeing the giraffes though. That was pretty cool. I will say that when we look at her team, that's the characters, that are with her in this. Danny Ramirez, I thought was a really good casting. He's playing Manny. He's Falcon in the new Captain America. I like him a lot. I think it's a good casting. I think Tati Gabrielle is also a good casting. Probably most notably known from You. I think she's good. I think the two of those castings are really good. I'm a fan of them. On the other hand, we got Ariella Barra and Spencer Lord, who are playing Mel and Ethan. First glance, again, like Caitlin Dever, I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I come back and again say, hey, why did I ever have, lose faith in these guys? As soon as I saw Ethan and Mel's characters, right away, I got a very much like a CW actor and actresses vibe. I could be wrong, but I didn't buy them. I almost thought they looked like out of place in this first scene. But the most important thing to take away from it that I really hated is that they gave so much away in this first episode that basically eliminates the opportunity to have shock value coming down the road. you know that Abby and this group want Joel. We know that now. That's what their mission's going to be. That's the sole focus of their characters, is to get Joel. Now, I think that's something that they shouldn't have come right out and say right in your face. I think there should be a little bit more of a mystery to it, and why these characters are feeling the way that they're feeling and why they're going to be doing the things that they're going to be doing. And that is the way that it's handled in the game. I think that's a much better route. So this first scene I didn't care for. I thought it felt very forced, especially the whole thing at the end when she's like, slowly, like when we do it, we're gonna do it slowly. Like I just don't buy it from her, like, at all. Again, hopefully I'm completely wrong, but regardless. So now we're going to do our 5-year time jump. We're going to open up with Ellie. She is training basically to just be a little pit bull. Like, we know this girl she has violent nature tendencies all throughout her. They probably just got enhanced spending the entire first season with Joel. That sense of violence inside of her to deal with problems cranked on up. So she's basically fighting a absolute behemoth of a man, a meat sack of a human, just fucking broad as can be. And she's able, using some UFC submission kind of shit, she's able to actually beat this guy in a fight. Now, we do learn right afterwards that the first part of the fight was her getting punched in the face by this guy, and he actually pulled the punch, which I don't know why Ellie was even surprised by that. He's a massive, massive dude, regardless of the fact that you feel like you can take a punch or not. If he hits you dead on the face with all of his force, like, it doesn't matter if you're a girl, like, you're gonna get knocked the fuck out. Grown men get knocked the fuck out by other grown men all the time. It doesn't matter if you can take a punch or not. Dude was huge. So cool little opening for Ellie. Like I said, training to just be a little pit bull. She's a little savage, even tougher than the last time we saw her. We also get introduced to Jesse, played by young Mazzino. I think this is a good casting. I very much buy him as Jesse right out of the way. Got kind of that calm demeanor, but at the same time has some authority to him. You know, he's good at kind of commanding soldiers, commanding these little teams that can go out on patrols. He's kind of in charge of all of that. And I totally buy him in this role. So I thought that was cool. She is going to leave the little barn that she was fighting in, and we're going to get our first look at Jackson. And Jackson looks beautiful. I will say that right away. Like, this is a town that looks great, even if it wasn't in an apocalypse. Like, this place looks buzzing. People all over the place, shops. I love the snow covered vibe. Love that, and the mountain scenery surrounding the whole town. Gorgeous scenery in this episode. Phenomenal. There's a few other scenes, the scenery, the mountains, the snow, all of it. Gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. So was very happy, excited right away. As soon as we arrived in this town, I was like, all right, let's get going here. Let's get this thing started. So we're gonna come across Joel. He's repairing something, and we're gonna get introduced to Dina, who is played by Isabella Merced. Now, I cannot stress this enough. This casting is not good. It's not great. It's fucking phenomenal. The entire first half of this episode, I was sitting there saying, like, wow, like, this girl is Dina. Like, the best casting of this entire show. One of the best castings I've ever seen, honestly. That's how much I bought it. And then the second half of the episode came, and I was like, this girl is more Dina than Dina is. She's an even heightened version of the character who I very much enjoy in the game. So could not be more excited to see more from Isabella in this series. I think she's going to be great. She interacts so well with Joel. You can tell that she cares about both him and Ellie. She probably hates the strain that she's help it to soothe it over. And Isabella brings that to life beautifully. We're gonna go from there. We're gonna go to a scene that I like a lot. It's a good part of the game. It doesn't happen in the game though until far later on. It's actually used as a flashback in the game. I like this change that they did with the show. Ellie and Tommy, they're out in the mountains. They are using Tommy's very nice rifle, great scope, shooting long distance, taking out some infected. Now, I do love what's kind of hit like a first good Easter egg. they're doing this underneath the ski lift, which is great because that's exactly the way that it goes in the game. You get all these infected, you're shooting from a ways away. They're all hanging out around like the ski lift, the poles, the towers, and all that shit. So just small little things like that, they're clearly going to keep going forward with in this second season. Loved that a lot. Liked this scene with her and Tommy. You can clearly see that their relationship has elevated and grown over the last 5 years. They're much more comfortable with one another. Obviously, Tommy knows that she's immune. He knows that secret. Her screaming it, more beautiful scenery. The mountaintops of snow, all great as a much better. Now, we are going to go from there to back to Joel. Joel is seemingly taking up a new role as head of construction, basically in Jackson. He's trying to build as much stuff up as he can. He's dealing with Tommy's wife, who is obviously kind of in charge of all of Jackson as a whole. There's a great Joel makes a nice little construction meter joke because she wants him to stop building faster. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'll just crank this thing up," which it's kind of just cute in its own right, like a little hee hee. But then when Tommy enters the room right afterwards, obviously didn't hear the conversation. They mentioned what they're talking about, and he goes, "Did you tell her about the meter?" That made it very, very funny. Like these two brothers are very much in sync. They clearly know each other, the same jokes, the mannerisms, the thing they say very, very, very well. Even though they haven't spent, I guess they spent the last 5 years together, but obviously there was a huge span there where they didn't see each other for like 10 years, say. But that was very, very funny. I liked that a lot. From there, we're going to go to a scene that I loved. Joel is going to be seeing a therapist played by Catherine O'Hara, who's always phenomenal. And I think she's a great cast in this role, totally by her. Now, I've seen some things online in regards to it's an apocalypse. Like why? Like a therapist is like almost like an unneeded thing. Like we need, construction workers, builders, all that kind of stuff, electricians, shit like that. But you got to remember that this is about, say, 20 years after the outbreak. So at this point, we already have a developed town. We're kind of safe in a way. We're gated in. We have defenses. So at this point, with people surviving this long and dealing with everything that they've dealt with, the loss, the fireflies, Fedra, all of these things, a therapist would probably be wildly, wildly useful and valuable, I think. And they do some stuff with her that I like a lot as far as from the game to the show. So, for instance, she is married to Eugene, who we know a little bit in the game. He's still a great weed bud tender, planting the weed trees, as we find out from O'Hara, because even in the apocalypse, he was growing humongous nugs, which is what he was doing in the game. Big weed guy. He was married to somebody that never made it to Jackson. They kind of insinuate that they were lost, that they died years previously, because Eugene was a firefly at the time. So he had to leave to go, do rebellious shit, and kind of left them behind. And they've changed that. I think this works well that it's with somebody who's now from Jackson. Also, another massive change is that Catherine O'Hara says that Joel is the one that killed him. Now, that's very different from the game. That is not the way things go down. But I think that's a good change to make this relationship, the tension inside of it, that much better. I thought this first scene was really, really good. I thought Catherine O'Hara was really good. I liked the way that Pedro Pascal played as Joel at the very end when she's saying, "I know you're keeping something from me." And you can see the thoughts in his head. The gears are turning. He wants to talk about what she's asking. He wants to say what happened with Ellie, why there is this strain. But it's an impossible thing to do. You can't just go like, she's immune. First off, I brought her across, the country so that we could use her as immune to make a medicine to cure everybody. And I massacred all of these fireflies. You can't come out and say that, even if she is a therapist and there's fucking patient, confidentiality. You can't do that. Can't do it. So you see him just kind of break down for a second, and then he goes, "I saved her." So in his heart that he still believes that he did the right thing, which I'm just going to lay this out on the table because I don't know if I have or if you guys saw me during the first season of this show when I was doing it. No questions asked. I'm with Joel. You got to fucking kill all those motherfuckers. And I think it's very important to note for those of you that have not played the game that they left out in season 1 at the end, and that's in that hospital shootout. While Joel is progressing through the building, killing guy after guy, in the game, he comes across 2 different tape recorders with recordings on it that you can listen to. And Ellie is not even close to the first person immune that they've found and tested on. There's been countless other ones. They've all died, and there's been no medicine to heal anybody. So why would Joel risk Ellie's life for that to simply happen again? After everything that he's gone through, it's not realistic. So there are a lot of people that think that Joel did the wrong thing. I am not one of those people. I support Joel 100%. So let's see here. Okay, let's do a couple of Easter eggs. So we're going to go from here. We're going to go to Ellie's home. She's living in a garage that's connected to Joel's house. So they kind of live together, but they also have their own space. Easter eggs, a lot of them in this moment here. We see Ellie is cleaning her gun, oiling it up, scratching at it. All of that is exactly the same. She does the same way, the same tools on the same workbench as you use in the game to upgrade your guns. Looks exactly the same way. That was cool. They show Ellie's guitar. It's got the butterfly at the top of it underneath the strings. Same thing. That's a guitar that Joel gave her. That's a way to symbolize it. We know it from one guitar to the other. It's obviously very important to her and to Joel. Very nice little touch. And then the last one is as her and Dina are preparing to leave to go onto their patrol, near the door to exit the garage, there's a little table, and her pocket knife is dug right into the table, right on the exit. She just grabs it as she leaves the door and tucks it away. Awesome. There's also one more. I'm so sorry. Dina mentions Curtis and Viper movies that Joel loves. Another cute little Easter egg. They mention those. Little change, though. Ellie's the one that tells Dina about it because her and Joel are supposed to have a movie night where they watch them together. This, they changed, I think, to kind of further stress the issues that are in their relationship. Dina is the one that was actually going to go watch them with Joel, and she kind of like asks Ellie to tag along. Now, right there, like I said, Easter eggs galore for my fellow gamers. And I don't know, I think people that haven't played the game still like to know that they do such a good job of hitting these little details that, you know, make the gamers, you know, happy. Like we don't need them per se, but they're very, very nice. And it shows that the creative team behind it is really focused on creating a very tight creation to what the game is supposed to be or what the game shows you. So I thought they did a great job with that. There's a few other ones in this episode as well that we will hit. Ellie and Dina are part of a patrol team with about, I think it looks like three or four other people. They do this regularly, basically to go out into the surrounding areas, check things out, make sure that there's not a huge group of infected making their way towards Jackson, kind of just making sure everything's gravy nearby. I think it's important to notice that when you see these other people that are going out on the patrol, a lot of them, big cowboy looking men, guys that look very intimidating, and they actually look up to Ellie and Dina, even though that they're younger, they're girls, all of that is irrelevant. They have such a history of running in, guns ablazing, clearing out massive groups of infected without any other help. Like these girls are savages. Like I said, they're little pit bulls, and it seems like everybody in Jackson recognizes that and respects that. So we're going to follow them on a little patrol. Now we're going to see the first signs that there is a relationship building and forming with Dina and Ellie, which, if you follow any of the, say, like news that comes out about the show prior to it actually releasing, they've said that the relationship between Ellie and Dina is going to be at the absolute forefront of this season. Dina is going to ask Ellie if she's going to be attending a New Year's Eve event party later on tonight in Jackson. She says that she will be attending. Dina asks if she's going to be bringing anybody, to which Ellie obviously says no. And then Dina asks to go with her. Now, obviously, it could be as friends, but you kind of also get the vibe that it's more than that, especially just by the way that they show 'em a couple times the camera, the way Ellie looks at Dina, you can tell that there's a longing, that she clearly likes this girl more than a friend. And now this is the first little tiny sprinkle that maybe Dina feels the same way about her. So this patrol team, they're going to keep on moving. They're going to come across a dead bear, completely ripped apart. I think there's like 4 or 5 infected surrounding it. So even though the bear went down, he didn't go down without a fight. He took a couple of these motherfuckers with him. But cool visual. The bear looked like gnarly. It looked like very like real. It looked like they really like carved up a fucking bear. Easter egg again. We're going to see them, and they are going to come across a Green Place Market truck that is located right outside of the grocery store. Same exact truck, same exact everything. They're going to climb on top of it to gain access to the grocery store, just like you do in the game. It's beautiful. And now, oh, actually, I wrote down this quote because I did find this to be very funny. Ellie and Dina, Ellie spends no time not going in. She's right away going in, gets her gun, no questions asked. The other people of the patrol, they're kind of like, yo, like, what are you doing? And she's kind of a smart ass about it. And then Dina, of course, follows her because they're, best friends. They're inseparable. They're the same way. They're not scared of shit. They're ready to go charging on in. Dina goes to the girl, what if there's a toddler or a baby? Which I thought was very funny because what do you think the chances are realistically? Like 1 in a billion that there's a fucking baby or a toddler in this building? Like, no way. But very cute, playful, shows the kind of character that Dina is. She likes to goof off and mess around, very much in the same way that Ellie does, which is part of the reason why they get along so well. Now, as soon as they get on top of the truck onto the second floor, Ellie hears one of the clickers. And as soon as she hears it, she's like, all right, 2-on-1. Like, let's go. We can fucking, take this thing down, no problem. Like, we've been here for 2 seconds, like, chill. But right here in this moment, this is the first time that you can see that Dina is almost kind of the brains and Ellie is kind of sort of the muscle. Not to say that Ellie doesn't also have brains, and also not to say that Dina doesn't have muscle, but as far as in the relationship goes, Dina's a little bit more of the thinker, whereas Ellie's always ready to go charging in, guns hot. Probably has something to do with the fact that she knows that she's immune. So really the only thing that could happen was she have to be like literally ripped apart. Totally still in the realm of possibility, but there obviously is a little bit of a sense of confidence that comes with that. So we get inside of the building. This is a cool little moment. Dina's kind of laying down the plan silently, of course, because we don't want to alert the clickers. This was cool. She's kind of explaining like, hey, we're gonna sneak it behind him, stab him, and then you have the both of them kind of doing like the gestures, like stab him in the neck. Funny little thing, very, very much like in the vein of exactly Ellie and why we love her. Bella Ramsey's amazing. I've been seeing some of that too lately, where is like all of a sudden people now are like out on the Bella Ramsey as Ellie. Like, I get last season there was the same shit as far as the looks go. Like, she doesn't look as a clone of Ellie, but as far as bringing the character to life, I couldn't imagine anybody doing it than Bella Ramsey does. Her facial expressions, the things she says, the way that she says them, the way that she carries herself is Ellie to me. I think she's phenomenal. And I think like this little joking thing was part of that to show that. Another Easter egg. Dina's going to point to a beer bottle, say, use that beer bottle as a distraction, as a noise to lure the clicker to where you want them to go. Beer bottles and bricks are a massive, massive part of the games. You use them time and time and time again, whether it's to break open glass for you to climb through, or if you're in fact using it as a distraction to lure clickers into a specific area that you want to lure them into. But that was a cute little touch that they threw in. Another great little Easter egg that we love to see. Now, sure enough, they're gonna take down these 2 clickers. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed an Easter egg. This was probably actually one of my favorite ones from this episode. While they're looking around, I think it's after they kill the clickers. I'm pretty sure it is after they kill the clickers. They're kind of just taking a look around, seeing like checking the rooms and all that. And Ellie sees a employee of the month board, And sure enough, they show kind of the top row, January, February, March, April, May first. And as soon as we see that, I see this right away as a game player, I'm like, oh my God, like, where's the Pooch? Pooch is the July employee of the month. I know that. That's the safe code to get into a combination safe that you get some ammo and some health packs. Crucial stuff. Great, great little touch. Made me very happy. That's probably not probably. I think that was definitely my favorite Easter egg from this episode. I really loved that one. Now, while they're kind of looking around, Ellie is going to fall through the floor down. Now, they climb the top of the truck. This is one of those very small things, very easy to ignore, nitpicking to the highest degree. They enter through the second floor. Ellie falls through the floor. She is now on ground level. Dina's like, hey, stay put. I'm going to find a way to get to you and get you out. Cool. The problem is with me, for at least for me, again, nitpicking. But like, if you just look around where Ellie is, you can see that there's like sun shining through like little areas of like where windows were that are now like being covered and stuff like that. It seems like it probably wouldn't be the hardest place to escape. But again, nitpicking, that's fine. Don't care. But I just thought I would mention it because I'm going to try to be as honest as possible. I'm going to mention the good and the bad, the little things, the big things, all of it. Now, this is a great scene. We're going to get introduced to a new version of the infected. These are stalkers. In the game, they kind of always appear to be children because they are smaller. The one that they showed here looked phenomenal, by the way. Really, really great. Creepy. The fungus growing from her nose, the parasite, looked wicked, wicked creepy. She did kind of look like a child to me, so I think that they're still kind of going with that storyline. But this was a really, really creepy, cool scene. Like, we really see the major difference from what we just fought upstairs with the clicker to this stalker that's very highly intelligent as far as hunting goes. Like Ellie says at one point, it couldn't do math, but it knew to hide from her. It knew to set a trap, lure her in, when to attack, which actually led to a great jump scare when she finally did attack Ellie. She, does that cool turnaround and blast with the shotgun, and you think Ellie's a step ahead and she's going to mess this thing up. No. She's still actually a step behind. This thing gets a good jump on her, good jump scare, and actually bites Ellie for a second time. That is something that doesn't happen. She gets bit for a second time. Thank God that she's fucking immune, and thank God that nobody was around, even if it was Dina, because we don't want that cat getting out of the bag. It's very important that stays between Tommy, Joel, and Tommy's wife. We don't want anybody else knowing that. So cool little fight scene. Cool to get introduced to a new member of the infected. If I had to guess, we'll see more of these stalkers going forward. And if I also had to guess, the next time we do see them, there'll probably be more than one. It'll probably be like maybe a small pack, a handful, 4, 5, because they do tend to travel in packs in the game. So I would imagine if we do see them again, it will be more of them, which would make them all the scarier, all the creepier, because this first one, makeup on this show is unbelievable. I mean, again, we see the clickers in this episode. The makeup department should win every single Emmy that there is to win. They're so good at bringing these creepy creatures to life. But they are going to be able to get back to Jackson. Everyone's fine. They're going to tell basically like this little, I would imagine, nominated group of people that kind of make the decisions for Jackson, almost like, House, the fucking Senate, you know what I mean? The House of Representatives, some kind of thing like that. But she's going to kind of just, Ellie and Dina are kind of just going to tell them what they saw, that there is a new version of the infected, and this one's a little bit of higher intelligence. We need to be on the watch for them, and we need to kind of almost maybe learn a new strategy on how to fight and attack them, because we don't want to do what Ellie did and kind of just go rushing in. That could totally backfire. So we're going to have to come up with a new strategy as far as fighting those. Now, where do we go? Oh, okay. Yeah. So we're going to go back to Ellie's garage. She's hanging in her garage. Joel is going to come in and he is going to ask her, just like Dina did, if she is going to be attending the New Year's Eve event, the party later on that night. Now, Ellie already said yes to Dina straight up. Yes, I will be there. Now Joel asked her, and she's like, maybe, yeah, I don't know. Like maybe I might be there. And it's like it's nothing is easy for Joel right now in regards to his relationship with Ellie. No matter what it is, no matter how small a question, big a question, everything is so tense, so strained, which breaks my heart. I love both these characters, and I hate to see them like this. You know, I think Dina does too. Obviously, like we kind of saw that earlier. Um, but we are also after he asked her about the New Year's Eve event, he is going to ask her about the guitar. He says, "Hey, you changed these strings out," which is in a way kind of like an Easter egg because this actually ties in directly to the scene with Ellie and Tommy earlier when they're hunting with Tommy's rifle and shooting at the infected. Immediately after that, in the game, they meet up with Joel still out on patrol, and Joel mentions that there's a music store nearby and that you could use new strings for your guitar. And then you see Ellie and Joel go off for a little bit on their own in the game. Obviously, they didn't do that in this part. They skipped it, but they kind of kept a way to keep it going as far as he's still going to replace the strings. It's just in a different moment. And kind of the same thing I talked about with the hunting rifle thing that happened earlier. It's not a flashback. It's in the live timeline. So I thought these were good changes. I thought these were good, subtle, small changes, but I think that they help with the storyline as far as the timeline goes. So we are going to go to this New Year's Eve event party. Now, the shot in the game is great. It's the exact same shot. You got the entire New Year's Eve party in front of you, the Christmas lights above your head. You're shooting from behind and almost above Ellie. So you see Ellie taking in the entire scene in front of her. But most importantly, she is focused on Dina, who is having a great time in the middle of the dance floor. She's laughing her ass off. She's dancing her ass off. She's full of energy, full of life. And that is exactly what is attracting Ellie to her, is this vibrant personality. She is just a great time. As good as the shot is in the game, of course, this is live action. It looked that much better. I saw it and I was like, oh man, I was like, I love that they use the same, I love that they use the same camera shot, but just how freaking good that looked to me. Phenomenal. Chef's kiss. Thought it was absolutely great. Now, Dina's going to be done dancing with whatever random guy. She was just kind of just having fun. They were clearly like, it was not an intimate dance by any means at all. It was very goofy. Ellie's going to come over and she's going to basically a fun, lively song to a nice, makes it a shorter space in between them. She kind of nuzzles up to Ellie, puts her head on her shoulder, and Ellie says, "Hey, every guy in here is looking at you." Dina's, maybe they're looking at you, maybe they're jealous of you. Ellie says, "Why would they be? I'm no threat," which leads to a great written line, and it's delivered beautifully by Isabel, playing Dina. And she says, "Oh, Ellie," and you can tell that there's a passion in her voice, like you're so wrong, Oh, Ellie, like I think they should be terrified of you. And in that moment, Ellie knows like the feelings are mutual. And sure enough, they start to kiss. Huge, great kiss. Very intense. It's a deep, deep kiss. And of course, unfortunately, it is broken up by this dick, Seth. 20 years into the apocalypse, and we still have homophobes out there. Pretty crazy. But he's going to basically say like, "Hey, like this is a family event. Like we can't have you guys like making out on the dance floor, regardless of this is the first time or anything like that." Like he actually, in a way, has a point. Like family event, you guys are like literally like making out. It's not like you guys just shared like a cute kiss. In a way, kind of in the right, until of course he drops that Dykes bomb, and the next thing you know, Joel just comes right over, decks him, lays him right out on the ground, and then you have another example of Ellie just being almost like done with Joel. It seems like she doesn't want to be around him. She doesn't want anything to do with him, but she's going to take lines delivered right from the game, which they do a ton of, which is great because the game's so well written. But it's just, what's the matter with you? And then there's like a little pause. And then she says, I don't need your fucking help, which is such a change from what we just watched in season one. Ellie needed Joel's help constantly. He was what got her across the country alive. And now, granted, she is a little bit older and she's trained and she is that violent savage. The way that she delivers that is so not hateful, but like stern and like just like I don't want anything to do with you vibe. And you can clearly tell by Joel's face that it breaks his heart. You know, he hates that the relationship is like this, but it also kind of embarrasses him. You know, not the whole town, but a lot of people from the town are at this event and they see that and they hear that. And it's just like, they know that they're sort of like a father-daughter relationship. Obviously, she's not his kid, but they are a very, very, very close bond. They came to Jackson together. They obviously traveled across the country together. So for them to see that, it's kind of like, it has to hurt the way that they look at Joel. Ellie's a 19-year-old girl. You probably have to imagine when they see that, hey, maybe Joel did something that is causing this reaction from her. Maybe we don't know the whole story. But I think it definitely probably embarrassed him a little bit and probably created a little bit of a back thought in the people's mind that saw it. Like, hey, maybe there's something going on here that we don't know about. So that was tough. I felt obviously I felt really, really bad for Joel. It sucked. And obviously he kind of just goes storming out. I think it's important to notice though that as he's storming out, one person that noticed and seemed to be on looking at everything, watching the whole scene, is Catherine O'Hara, the therapist. So I'm assuming that we're going to see more of her going forward, and maybe she can use this to try and get more information out of Joel. I think that's a very good possibility. I'm looking forward to another conversation between the two of them. Like I said, I love Catherine O'Hara. I thought she fit in perfectly, and I did like the chemistry between her and Pedro Pascal. I thought that conversation was really, really, really good. I'm looking forward to getting more of it. And I think that this scene is going to be a talking point for them probably very soon, probably in this next episode, which if anybody's seen any, whether it's tweets, news articles, whatever it is, people are talking about this second episode like it is one of the greatest episodes in television history. Like I've literally seen that before. Like this is one of the best TV episodes of all time, which is great. I am so excited. We're only like 40, maybe like what are we, 50 hours away at this point. Very, very excited for this next episode. It looks like it's going to be great. The preview at the end of this episode looked phenomenal. It looks like we're going to get some real action going on and stuff like that. So very, very excited for this Sunday and this new episode. Now, that scene is basically going to be the last scene. We're gonna show two more things very, very quickly. As we learned, Joel is obviously like head of construction. They're trying to build and add on to this town to add more refugees, more stores, schools, hospitals, everything. We want to just keep building up this town. So we're going to see some piping that's being laid across Jackson. And earlier in the episode, we saw like the gathering of like twigs, woods, branches, things that you would imagine they're going to be using for construction, and a huge, I don't even know, like a wad, almost like a tumbleweed, like you'd see in the desert, all twigs, and it's shoved into this piping. I'm not going to lie, that part I don't totally understand. I don't know why you'd fill piping with wood. It's outside of my area of expertise. But the important thing to notice is that inside of those twigs is the fungus, the parasite. So it seems like this is going to be inside Jackson. If that's, say, like when I see piping like that, I think water. This seems like awful way for a ton of people in Jackson to get infected inside the walls, which could cause this awful, awful situation with all these people in Jackson are actually trapped inside the walls with all these infected, which could very well be part of all of the action that we're going to see in the second episode. Excuse me. So that could create possibly like all these battle scenes that we saw in the trailer for episode 2. Maybe some people inside of Jackson are going to be getting infected. So that's something to definitely be on the lookout for. And then the last shot that we're going to get for this first week is Abby and her friends, the group that we saw in the first scene of the episode. They have now made their way to Jackson. They are in the mountains overlooking it. They're still like, a little ways away, but they can see the town. They can see it's all lit up. They can see how big it is. And you have to imagine that next week they're going to just be moving in closer and closer and closer. So they're getting closer to Jackson. They're getting closer to Ellie. They're getting closer to Joel. And we know that that's what they're here for, is Joel. So that is something that's starting to build up as well, along with the infected possibly inside the walls. Now we have a second problem to deal with, and that is with this group of people that's hell bent on getting revenge. So a lot happening in this first episode, a great build up to a second episode, a great place to, not a great place, but a great first episode, in my opinion, that really set the table for what's to come in season 2, and also reintroduces you to the world. It brings you back. You get not caught up, but you get, you re-meet the vibes, the tensions, the looks, the day-to-day life. You get sucked right back into it like we did in season 1. So I thought that this first episode was really, really good. I loved it. I actually watched it 3 times, believe it or not. That's how much I liked it. I'm sorry. But I thought this was a really good place to kick the season off. It gave us a little bit of everything. We still got some of those action sequences. We saw Ellie fight the stalker. We saw Ellie snipe the clickers from a distance with Tommy. We see these new characters, these new relationships, changes to relationships, introduced to a bunch of new characters. And some of them I'm very excited to see more of. Some of them I'm hesitant to see more of. I'm excited to see more of Dina. Very excited to see more of Dina. I'm excited to see more of Jesse. I'm excited to see more of Catherine O'Hara. I do think, like I said, I do like 2 of the castings in Abby's group. And again, I hope I'm dead wrong about the other 3. I hope I come around and again, and I'm like, I don't know why I ever doubted these guys, because they're so good at making the show. But with all that said, that kind of wraps up episode 1. I would give this episode a B plus or an A minus. B plus or an A minus. I'm going to go A minus. I'm probably biased. I probably have it a little bit higher than a lot of other people do, but I thought this was a really, really great episode to kick this season off. It's left me very excited to see what's going to come, not just in episode 2, but the entire rest of the way going forward. I think that the audience is in for some treats, some heartbreaks. You're going to be feeling a lot of emotions this season. People are going to be going through it. But honestly, we went through it in season 1. We lost Tess. We lost Henry. We lost Sam. All 3 of those in pretty heartbreaking fashions. We see in the flashback with Ellie and, oh my God, I can't think of her in show name. Storm Reed, though, who's a very, very talented actress. I like her a lot. Oh, man, I can't think of her show name. But I'm talking about, we saw the flashbacks to them in the mall. Heartbreaking. Bill and Frank, that episode, heartbreaking. But at the same time, like, it's filled with emotion. It makes you feel really, really good up until it makes you feel really, really sad. So a lot of those same things, those emotional roller coasters that we got in season 1, we are going to get again in season 2. So I'm beyond excited. I cannot wait for episode 2 on Sunday night. I cannot wait to be back in here on Tuesday, hopefully with either Seth or Luke or possibly both of them. I feel like we're probably going to be the three of us. I hope at least a couple of times during the course of this season. But very, very excited. A-. Think they did a ton of good. Little nervous about a couple of castings, but overall, I'm so happy to have this show back. But I hope that all of you guys enjoyed the first episode. I hope that you guys are as excited as I am to check out the rest of this season. And I think that's about it. I think that's going to wrap it up. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this recap. I hope you guys check out the ones going forward. I hope that you guys enjoy the show, this show. Hope you guys enjoy all of it because I know I'm going to. That's going to be it. And as always, happy watching.